In this video, I'll introduce you to the 22 most common Japanese greetings you can use in various situations. All of these phrases are frequently used in Japan and useful for smooth communication. So, let's learn and master them. おはようございます。おはようございます。Good morning.This phrase is a formal way to greet someone in the morning. It's commonly used in formal and professional settings. Also, you can say this when you see people who are not particularly close to you or strangers. People usually say this while making a slight bow or a simple nod. おはよう、おはよう、morning.This phrase is a casual way to greet someone in the morning. You can use this phrase with your family and friends. こんにちは。こんにちは。Hello. This phrase is a common Japanese greeting during the daytime. It used to be a phrase longer like こんにちはご機嫌いかがですか? Which means how are you today?But it was shortened over time. This is generally used when you see people who are not particularly close to you or strangers. Please note that people don't use this phrase with close people. There are no fixed casual greetings during the daytime, but many people say おつかれ as I introduce a bit later.People often say こんにちは with a slight bow or a simple nod. こんばんは、こんばんは。Good evening. This is a common and polite greeting used in the evening. Originally, this phrase was something longer like こんばんはいい晩ですね, which means tonight is a good night.But it was shortened over time. As with こんにちは, this phrase is used when you see people who are not particularly close to you or strangers. People often say this phrase with a slight bow or a simple nod. お疲れ、お疲れ。Hi, see ya.This is a casual greeting you can use with your friends, family, or any close people, typically in or after the late morning. 疲れ means tiredness, so the original purpose of this phrase is to appreciate someone's hard work. But over time, it also came to be used as a greeting. Some people even use お疲れ in place of おはよう。But most people say おはよう in the early morning, and in later time, they say お疲れ. There are other phrases, but it's a good start to remember お疲れ because it's very common and versatile. You can also use お疲れ when saying goodbye. お疲れ様です。お疲れ様です。Hello. See you.This is a formal version of お疲れ. At the workplace, this phrase is usually used instead of こんにちは or こんばんは. And it's usually accompanied by a light bow. To sum up, in workplaces, people say おはようございます in the early morning, and in later time, they say お疲れ様です。You can also use this when your colleagues finish work and go home, or when you want to appreciate other people's hard work. For example, 今日も残業ですか? はい、明日の会議の準備がまだ終わってなくて。大変ですね。お疲れ様です。お先に失礼します。お先に失礼します。See you. This is a set phrase to use with your colleagues when you leave the office. It's a polite way to excuse yourself when leaving the office before others. The term 先に means first or earlier, and the o at the top adds politeness. And 失礼する is a polite expression that means to leave the place. So, the literal translation of this phrase is I'm leaving earlier than you. お先に失礼します。お疲れ様です。This is an interaction that happens in most Japanese workplaces at the end of the day. すみません。すみません。Excuse me. Sorry. You can use this phrase to make a light apology or get someone's attention. For example, すみません。駅はどこですか？それ、私のペンです。あ、すみません。Some people even use this phrase in place of ありがとう, which means thank you. これ落としましたよ。あ、すみません。They use this phrase in a situation like this to express both appreciation and an apology for potentially inconveniencing the other person. はじめまして。はじめまして。Nice to meet you. This is a phrase to say when you meet someone for the first time. This phrase is considered to have been shortened from 初めてお目にかかりまして which means I meet you for the first time. Usually, people say their name after this phrase to introduce themselves. よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。Nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you in advance. よろしくお願いします is a very common phrase to express your intention to build a good relationship with the other person, or when you make a request. This phrase has a distinct Japanese quality with no direct English counterpart. You can use this phrase like this. はじめまして、山田一郎です。よろしくお願いします。Then make a bow. To sound more polite, you can use よろしくお願いいたします。When ordering food, you can just say お願いします like this. 味噌ラーメンをお願いします。お久しぶりです。お久しぶりです。I haven't seen you for a long time. You can say this phrase when you see someone for the first time in a while and that person is not particularly close to you or anyone you want to greet in a polite and formal way. The part 久し comes from a word 久し and it means that long time has passed. ぶり is used to express something happens again after a certain amount of time, like 昨日1年ぶりに彼と会いました which means I met him yesterday for the first time in a year. お and です are words to add politeness. As a whole, the literal translation of お久しぶりです is I see you after a long time has passed. 久しぶり久しぶり It's been a while. This is a casual version of お久しぶりです. You can use this phrase with your friends, family, or other close people. For example, あ、エミちゃん。久しぶり。久しぶり。元気？いただきます。いただきます。Phrase to say before having a meal. いただきます is the massive form of the verb いただく。いただく is a polite and humble expression that is used when receiving something from someone else. So, it's a phrase to show appreciation for meals and those who are involved with producing them. Usually, people say this with their hands together in front of their chest. ごちそうさまでした。ごちそうさまでした。Phrase to say after having a meal. The term ごちそうさま is derived from the word ちそう which originally meant to ride a horse and run around to prepare special treats for guests. Today, the term ごちそう is commonly used to refer to a feast or a special meal. So, ごちそうさまでした is a phrase to express appreciation for the meals and the overall dining experience. As with いただきます, this phrase is also said with hands together in front of the chest. いってきます。いってきます。Phrase to say when leaving home or a particular place. It's a polite way of letting others know that you are heading out or leaving for a specific destination. The literal translation is, I'll go and come back. People commonly use this phrase when leaving for work, school, or any other outing. いってらっしゃい。いってらっしゃい。Phrase to say when someone is leaving home or a particular place. The people remaining in the place typically say this phrase in response to いってきます. The literal translation is, please go and come back. This is a way of wishing the person a safe and pleasant journey. いってきます。いってらっしゃい。This is a common interaction that takes place at home every morning when a family member goes to school or work. いってらっしゃい is also used in workplaces like this. A 社に行ってきます。いってらっしゃい。ただいま。ただいま。Phrase to say when returning home. This phrase is similar to I'm home or I'm back. The literal translation of this phrase is just now. It is said that this phrase has been shortened from ただいま帰りました, which means I'm back just now. People say this phrase to let other people know their return. Please note that people usually don't say this at the workplace. When you return to the office after some work outside, you can say 戻りました, which means I'm back. おかえりなさい。おかえりなさい。Phrase to say when someone returns home. This phrase is similar to welcome back home or welcome back. It is said that this phrase has been shortened from ようこそおかえりなさいました。ようこそ means welcome, and おかえりなさいました is a respectful way of saying you are back. おかえりなさい is an expression to warmly greet someone back home. People use both おかえりなさい and the shortened version おかえり. When someone returns to the office after some work outside, it's more common to say お疲れ様です. However, some people also say おかえりなさい, which sounds more friendly than お疲れ様です. It depends on the culture of the workplace. おやすみなさい。おやすみなさい。Good night. People usually say this phrase to their family or friends when they go to bed or at the end of a conversation at night. The literal translation of おやすみなさい is please rest. This phrase is often shortened to おやすみ。失礼します。失礼します。Excuse me. This phrase is commonly used when entering someone's room or space. The term 失礼 in this context means rude or impolite. In Japanese culture, entering someone else's space is considered potentially inconvenient or interruptive. By saying 失礼します, people convey awareness of their potential intrusion and show consideration for the other person. If you want to be even more polite, you can use 失礼いたします. When leaving the room, people say 失礼しました, which is a past tense of 失礼します. This phrase is variable in various situations where you might inconvenience or interrupt others. お話し中失礼いたします. This phrase is seeking permission to interrupt the conversation, showing respect for the ongoing dialogue. お邪魔します. お邪魔します. Phrase when you visit someone's house. 邪魔する means to disturb, to intrude, or to bother. So, the literal translation of お邪魔します is I'm disturbing you. It's a similar phrase to 失礼します, but this is particularly used when people visit someone's home. When leaving the home, people often say お邪魔しました, which is the past tense of お邪魔します. またね. またね. Bye. This is a casual and friendly way to say goodbye when you expect to see the person again in the future. It's commonly used among friends, family, or other close people. It's a shortened version of phrases like また会おうね, which means let's meet again, and また今度ね, which means let's catch up again soon. As you may notice, また means again. おはようございます。おはようございます。おはよう。おはよう。こんにちは。こんにちは。こんばんは。こんばんは。お疲れ。お疲れ。お疲れ様です。お疲れ様です。お先に失礼します。お先に失礼します。すみません。すみません。はじめまして。はじめまして。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。お久しぶりです。お久しぶりです。久しぶり。久しぶり。いただきます。いただきます。ごちそうさまでした。ごちそうさまでした。いってきます。いってきます。いってらっしゃい。いってらっしゃい。ただいま。ただいま。おかえりなさい。おかえりなさい。おやすみなさい。おやすみなさい。失礼します。失礼します。お邪魔します。お邪魔します。またね。またね。